Now trust me, I know that some people are gonna say,
man, that's not a Traxxas.
no Arma, bad karma.
You gotta get you an E-Revo.
But man, I'm telling you, I'm not saying those cars aren't good. I've got my crate in there and look, it's broken. But this car is just unbeatable. And you'll see why that is throughout the course of this video. This is the HBX 2995 Desert Truck. Now when you first get this car, it comes with these dinky little tires. I kept one on the spare, but those are rather small compared to these. I also upgraded it to oil-filled shocks and they work beautifully. With tires this big, I did have to put some wheel spacers in there. That definitely helps with the handling even more on this truck. The last time that we had this out, I actually ended up snapping the chassis, I think about 2 batteries in, but it was cold that day and it took an absolute beating even in that cold weather. And if you don't know, plastic parts on these cars do break easier in the cold. And when I say these cars, I pretty much mean any plastic part on any RC car. After waiting a good 2 to 3 weeks for that new chassis to come in, we took it out for about 3 minutes and then ended up breaking an axle. That same hit that killed the chassis must have also weakened that axle pretty substantially. Now, aside from the weak sauce tires and the really bad shocks that it comes with out of the box, it's an outstanding car. Even the stock motor was fun to play around with before we upgraded it. It has a really good suspension setup. It's got full metal axles and metal differential gears. It even has a center differential. I'm not going to go into much of that now because we actually do have a full review on this car when we first got it, so I recommend you check that out if you're interested. In this video, I'm going to show you what I did to this car to make it into the beast that it is. We're going to replace that broken axle. Then we're going to run it really hard so you can see how tough and awesome this car really is. If you like what you hear so far, hit that like button for this video and consider subscribing to the channel. That means so much to us. And then if you decide that you like this setup, I'm going to have links for this truck and all the parts that I've used on it in the description of this video. So under the hood, we've got a Hobbywing Max 10 setup. This is a 12th scale car and it's a motor and ESC combo that is made to work on a 10th scale. So even though it has oversized tires on it, this motor has no problem throwing this thing around. We used a Dumbo RC radio. Actually kept the servo, the stock one. It's actually a pretty decent servo. A recurring issue that we had before was the ESC not staying down after installation. I tried double stick tape, I tried hot glue, and it kept coming loose and flopping around. So ultimately I went with shoe goo and that worked like a charm. If I ever have to replace this, it might be hard to remove, I don't know, but I'd rather it not flop around and get broken in there. Now when I did fix the chassis, I had mentioned that I'm going to put some thicker fluid in this differential. But to be honest, with these bigger tires, it's actually pulling wheelies now. So I think I'm going to leave it stock for a bit and just see how I like it, and I might decide to thicken it up later. After we do run it for a minute, I want to check and see how thick the shock fluid is, and if it seems like it's less thick than 50, we'll go ahead and put some 50 weight in there. And then we'll look and see how she held up after this abuse we're about to put her through. Time to send it. Yeah. Woohoo. Gonna get you. And hit so hard in the front. And so far, I think it's okay. Oh yeah. Wow. Oh, the axle popped out. Got some shock breakage on that one. That broke the top of the shock and caused the axle to pop out just due to ultra flexibility, which is a good thing. I've got a new shock on there and we're putting the axle back in right now. A little bit of field service. Oh yeah. Ow! Oh, that broke something. 2 shocks. I do have the parts. Everybody, Johnny's go! Oh. Another broken shock.
She's done.
There's a 3rd time we broke a shock, but I've got more parts. All right. Sweet, dude! That was awesome. There you go. Ooh, parts. First off, I just want to say I highly recommend these tires. They have awesome traction. The servo has no problem turning them, and they have a really good amount of mass to them, so it has really good air control. The first time we had this car out with the brushless upgrade on it, we ran the tires that we currently have on our 903. They're a little bit smaller and they weigh less, and I could barely get a backflip in, even though it would front flip easily. But with these, I was able to squeeze in some double backflips. And even with the really loose center differential, it was able to pull wheelies. And this spare tire acts as a wheelie bar. The motor did not get excessively hot. This is a 2200 milliamp Gens Ace bashing battery. If I can find it again, I'll put a link in the description, and it just barely fits in that box. You have to squeeze it in, but it does fit. Now, as you saw, we did break a couple of the top and bottom end caps of some of these shocks. Luckily, the stock shocks that come with these PX toys, the top caps actually fit, and they're more flexible, so when these break, I just replace them with those, and haven't had any more issues out of them since. Some of those bad landings caused these control arms to flex all the way back, which is what made these ends break off, because these can't handle what the control arms can. It's amazing what the plastic they use on these control arms can handle. Also happy to say, no cracks on the chassis. That took a lot of good landings and quite a few bad ones, and nothing broke, except the ends of the shocks, of course. But those shocks don't come on this car, so I don't blame the car one bit for that. Not only did we run it on 2 full battery packs, afterwards we charged this and ran it through another full one the next day. So this thing survived 3 full battery packs of pretty intense bashing. At least out of all the cars that we have, this is the best option for a brushless upgrade, especially if you want power. With that being said, I actually just found one thing that broke. And it's hard to even call it a breakage. Right here, this little joint, I don't know yet if the screw loosened up or if it broke, but it came out of the top piece of this knuckle right here. Yep, all it did was loosen up. It didn't even break. So we're gonna put this screw right back in and it'll be good as new. We're gonna throw some 50 weight shock oil in it, and we're gonna find out real quick what kind of difference that makes. And I did find one other thing. This front bumper has a little crack. I don't know if you saw how slowly that stuff dripped out of these shocks, but it's thicker than this 50 weight. So I'm just gonna replenish this a little bit, but I'm gonna keep whatever's in there in there. Well, I thought I was going to be doing some upgrades on this thing, but it turns out it's kind of already how I want it. I've ordered several sets of these shocks before, and not all of them have been this thick. But all of these are very uniform and feel like a really good weight anyway. Whatever it is, it's heavier than 50. I think one of the next things I want to try with this car is jumping over our neighbor's front yard with it. Don't worry, I have her permission. I help her with a lot of stuff. So far, the only car that's been able to do that is our Creighton. It's done it once or twice, and it's about a 40-foot distance. And on these 2S batteries, I had it at about full speed several times, and it didn't really quite get there. With 3S, it just might be able to do it, so that might be something I try. But if any of our smaller scale cars can handle it, this would be the one. Another impressive thing is none of the axles are even bent. They're not even bent. That is unheard of, especially with the way that we ran this thing today and having such heavy tires on it. And one last fun fact for you, that entire time, not one single body clip ever came out. Now tell me that's not impressive. The only other thing I'll say is that if you're looking for a car to upgrade, or you already have this car and you want to upgrade it, this exact setup is what I recommend. At least for what I like. If you think you like this setup or something similar to it, I will put the links to all the parts and the truck in the description of this video. Feel free to check those out. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. We really appreciate that. Hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever we make new videos. Plus, I have a really cool video planned for once we hit 1,000 subscribers. I've kind of already hinted towards what that will be. So help us get there so we can get that ball rolling, and we'll see you guys real soon.